Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Chuck Blakeman is here. Many of you probably know Chuck, and for those of you who don't, I would tell you that Chuck was my very first business coach. That was a long time ago, Chuck. I don't know what, 15 or so years ago. And I found Chuck through a colleague who shared his book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, which to this day is the best business book I've ever read. So if you have not yet gotten your copy of Making Money is Killing Your Business, and I see some heads nodding, I say start on Audible, and then you're going to want to get the paper copy and mark it up. I don't know how many times I've listened to that over the years. It's a really, really great read. Now, Chuck is a best-selling author who has many books, and I couldn't tell you as much about the others. I have read several others, but I just love that book. So I want to be sure and highlight that. Making Money is Killing Your Business is such a great read, especially for us as speakers and consultants. He is also a serial entrepreneur. I lose track. I always guess it's like your 13th business, but and like all the continents, it's something like that. And you can correct me. And I know also an international speaker and really a world-renowned business advisor. But I don't know that you're here to talk to us about any of that today, Chuck. You're here as a colleague and a friend and as a human, experiencing this human experience as we be here on this planet, here to talk to us about the role of dissonance and discord as we grow as people. So with that, I'll hand it over to our dear friend, Chuck Blakeman.
Thanks, Vanessa. You're special. Appreciate you. I appreciate all of you for being here today and investing your time in this and our time together as community. I think as a recovered John Wayne rugged individualist, I find community to be so essential, and it's part of what we're going to communicate today with, I think, a little bit of music. We'll see what happens. I'm in Denver, Colorado right now. I actually live in Las Cruces, New Mexico, but I'm sitting in the house that we thought was sold. And that's appropriate for the topic today, because there's some real dissonance here, and maybe even close to discord with what we've got going on here. We took an all-cash offer on this house in January to close in May, which is a very long close. And the last minute, and so we bought a house about a month ago, thought it was safe to buy a house all cash. To close on when they closed, we would take the house out, cash out of this one, put it into that one, and they backed out 7 days before the close. So now we own two houses and we're out of cash. It's a first world problem. We own some apartment complexes and other things. We can get some cash someday, but I'm not used to being in a place where I'm wondering, how we're going to do it. So it's a different place. I have struggled with, my wife and I have struggled with it. We've made fun of it and had fun with it. I think we cried a little bit the first day it happened, and then we got a bottle of wine and sat down and celebrated it, and celebrated Chuck and Diane's new unexpected adventure. And so we're going to talk about how to respond to these kinds of things today. And I'll start us by kind of poking the bear and bringing up some core ideas about what it means to why dissonance and discord help us grow, and maybe what they are. So 3 core ideas that I want to talk about today very quickly is I believe, I'm convinced myself, I do not grow in my flow. I produce in my flow. My flow is a wonderful thing, but it's a place where I take all the growth that I've had and I flow it out. And I'm cranking and I'm producing. But I do not grow in my flow. I produce in my flow. Flow is great for production, but it is really empty when it comes to growth. The neurological sciences have demonstrated this to be true. We don't grow in our flow. We grow, as they call it, growing from your errors. We only grow when we're making errors. When we're doing something that isn't right, that's when we grow. If we lean into that, if we don't like the errors, and if we run away from the errors and we ignore the errors, and well, then of course the errors just keep coming back because we haven't embraced them, learned from them, and brought them in. So that's idea number one. We do not grow in our flow. Number two, stress is good. Stress is how we actually stay vibrant and alive and going. Physical sciences tell us that if you go to the gym and do the same weights every day, year after year, that very quickly within a year or two, you will end up having to go down a little bit in your weights because you can't sustain what you've done. You're not actually sustaining by just doing what you can already do. The only way to keep where you are, according to the physical sciences, is to actually add weight and keep struggling or keep stressing your muscles. So stress is good. And dissonance is a stress. Dissonance is, when relationships don't feel like they're connecting the way they should. That's actually when we learn, that's when we grow. Stress in life. So we're growing in ways we can't imagine, from owning 2 houses when we can't afford to, and all the things that come with that, and the uncertainties and the stresses in relationship. Even complete and utter discord, and we'll talk about what that is, can take us to a very new, fresh, wonderful place, because there's such a clean break with discord many times, if, again, we lean into it the way we should. The third idea here is idea number one, we don't grow in our flow. Idea number two, stress is good. Too much of it, bad. Idea number three, you are not free from your circumstances. But you are free within them. Or as I've said to myself and to many others, I am made for the struggle, but I am not made to struggle. I go to the gym because I am made for that struggle, and it hurts, and I lean into it, and I embrace it, and I'm made for it. But I don't think of it as struggle. It's not to struggle. Oh, this is so hard, and I don't want to do this, and we'll all be killed. Well, I do that sometimes too. But you get the idea. We are free within our circumstances to basically respond to them. And I've said this to myself and many others over the years. Circumstances don't make me who I am. How I respond to them does. And I'm finding some very unhealthy ways in which I'm responding to this 2-house situation. I have to deal with that. That's why it's one of the reasons I'm having this situation come up, is to lean into and embrace those things. So many circumstances in life we don't actively pursue because they have dissonance and discord. They may be unfamiliar or awkward or uncomfortable or confusing. Maybe they're tied to old wounds, or painful all by themselves, or even viewed as life-threatening. So we just don't lean into some circumstances. I love what Viktor Frankl said. It's about how circumstances don't make us who we are, how we respond does. He said, everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So we're going to lean into that idea today. And I'm going to say very clearly for myself, I do not believe the universe exists to do my beck and call. It is not my genie for me to rub the lamp and say, life will be great because I've aligned myself with the genie. I believe I live in a world of complex adaptive systems that I am a small piece of. And the first 2 rules of systems is, number one, is you can't understand complex adaptive systems. Impossible. Can't do it. The universe, war, things that just constantly change. We can't understand them and we can't control them. So the only thing we can do is find the bit and the piece that's impacting us right now and plug into it and use the energy, like the Aikido martial art coming at us, to say, how can I benefit from the bit of the system that I'm dealing with today, and how can I plug into it and benefit the system? That's all I've got. So there's 5 ways in which music respond to this. And I found that because I was a professional music early in my life, I find music to be a really good idea, a really good concept for understanding why we should lean into things that are difficult for us. So we all know what rhythm is. There's basically at least 5 things that music brings to us at different levels. Rhythm is the most fundamental thing we learn in music. It's the first thing a baby responds to. It is the most core thing about music that we can understand is rhythm. And then melody is second, a simple little melody. I didn't give you an example of rhythm because we all know what that is, but here's a simple little melody. I don't know if you're hearing that.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a melody. I see melody as an expression of myself. It's the most accessible. It's the easiest for us to understand. I can live with my own foibles and my own understanding of me. And I like melody. Melody is kind of something, a good, powerful melody can stand by itself a lot of times. And it doesn't need anything else. However, that doesn't mean it shouldn't be involved with other things. So here's something on rhythm. Rhythm is just usually fun. Or another one. So we like rhythm, we like melody. They're very accessible things. Most pop music focuses on melody, rhythm, and then the third thing is harmony. Melody, rhythm, and harmony are very accessible for us. Here's a little bit of melody, and here's melody by itself, but I'm going to suggest that melody for this analogy represents me as an individual, and harmony in this analogy represents us living in community with the rest of the people around us. Melody is powerful and can be powerful all by itself, but boy, why would we give up on the community, the harmony that comes with it? So here's a simple melody by itself, and then we're going to show how when we add harmony, when we get other people involved in my life, and they start speaking to my melody becomes so much richer. Okay, nice, adorable little melody. You might be able to learn it and sing it. But look what happens when we add harmony. And again, this is me living in community with others who now hear my music. They hear the music of my life. And they begin to speak to it and join me in it. So you can see how much richer. That was the same melody, wasn't it? But didn't that impact you more? It did me. It does me. When we live as rugged individualists, we lose out on so much. We can do it. You can have your melody and just be and sing your own song. But boy, does it help me to learn how to live in community and how much more I learn from it, how richer it gets for me. So those are the three we run toward. None of us ever have any trouble with rhythm, melody, and harmony. And it's actually what most pop music is built on, because dissonance and discord in music gets harder for us to hear, just like in life. When I hear dissonance on a piano, it can make me get tense a little bit. When I hear discord, it really hurts. So dissonance is like two notes right beside each other. You hit them both at the same time, and they just don't feel like they go together. Let's see if we can hear some of that. So that's dissonance. That's different than discord. Discord would be actually me just sitting on the piano, smashing all the keys on the piano at random. There's no rhythm, there's no melody, there's no harmony. It's chaos. Dissonance is very similar to chaos. And there's very little music written at the discord level. And there are not very many people who like it. It's a narrow niche in whatever classical, it doesn't matter what genre. Dissonance music, it's like punk rock in some ways is sometimes dissonance, but you get the idea. There's niches, but we don't like it in general because we run toward melody, harmony, and rhythm, but we tend to run away from or shy away from dissonance. Well, let's take that same dissonance and let's apply it in the middle of a life and see how dissonance can actually take me from where I am to a new place. This to me is one of the roles of dissonance. When I lean into something difficult that's happening in my life, I embrace it, I learn from it, it teaches me, that allows me to go to a new place. And in music, we call that a modulation. You go from like the key of G to the key of E flat. So we're going to show how we're having this wonderful melodious time, and then dissonance is going to come in. And as a result of the dissonance, if you embrace it and lean into it, it can take you somewhere new. So let's hit that chord again, and then listen very quickly to dissonance, to a melody and harmony, followed by dissonance that takes us to a new place. Now, if you're not a musician, you may not have picked up that we started in what's called one key and went to another key. It's in life, it would be like starting in one relationship and ending up in another. And the reason you got that second relationship in a healthy way is because you embraced the dissonance between the two of them. The thing that might have happened that was hard, that you had to embrace in the middle of those things. So we have the difference between the two. Whoops. So this is the key of G. This is where we started. And this is where we ended up. And we were able to make that jump, that leap to a new key because we embraced that difficult dissonance in the middle that allowed us to get to the new place. So music holds that very closely and very well. And we need to learn how to do that better in life. This is just a bit of a song with a lot of dissonance underlying it, but a lot of melody as well. And the point of this rant here in this music is that when you add dissonance to music, when you add dissonance to the music of life, it just makes it maybe a little more difficult to listen to, but richer. So we'll just play a little bit of this one. Let me skip ahead. Okay, so again, if you're not a musician, you wouldn't hear that almost every chord in that thing has some kind of dissonance. If you stopped in any one place, you'd hear two notes that are conflicting. It's like, I don't belong with you and you don't belong with me. But when we put it all together with harmony and melody and rhythm, we let the dissonance in, it becomes a magical part of who we are, and it helps us get to a new place. And I don't have an example of discord because I think we all know what that is. But discord is, again, just smacking the piano with, it's a cat or a dog walking across the keys. It makes no sense to us. Have you ever had a situation in life that made no sense to you? Just chaos. It's utter discord. I do not know why this is in my life right now. This situation I'm in right now is not quite discord, but it is really heavy dissonance for me and for my wife. And there are bits and pieces of it that feel very discordant. And we get in a little bit of a panic because we give into the discord and we rebel against it instead of, wait a minute, why am I feeling that? What am I needing to learn? This is a first world problem. I'm not going to die. No one is going to die because and you begin to learn how to deal with it. So rhythm, melody, harmony, dissonance, discord, all of them are valuable in life. And admittedly, discord and dissonance are harder for us to lean into. But without them, life is really boring. And without it, it just, we don't get where we want to go. So it feels uncomfortable and unwanted in the moment. But, if we lean into it, the uncomfortable helps us appreciate the ease and the flow that when we get to the next key in our lives, the next page in our lives. As we close this idea around dissonance and discord, that these are things we would naturally lean away from. And I'm inviting you for the rest of your life and for the rest of my life, anytime two notes that don't belong together feel uncomfortable to me in my life, my first response needs to be fascinating. What does that mean? How am I supposed to learn from that? That's when I grow. I don't grow in my flow. Thank you.
You can unmute to give Chuck a round of applause. That's awesome, awesome, awesome.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.